Good evening, everyone. My name is Priyansi, and I'm a counseling psychologist. We are doing a series on mental health vocabulary A to Z, and today we are going to discuss letter U. Okay, we have our guests.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me, Dee?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
So everyone, she is Mrs. Shalu Bharati, who is also a counseling psychologist from Mind Your Mind. We have been having her on Light in the Soul from past so many days, and we are on letter U at today. So yes, thank you, Dee, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Priyansi. The pleasure is all mine. Even I'm enjoying this. Yeah.
So let's
I hope
quickly
all
share.
the audience is also enjoying. Yeah.
Yes. So let's quickly share with everyone the motive of this series.
So this is like, you know, now we are just towards the end of it. Now I'm realizing how important it was that when we started with it, we did not think that we will change so much after learning these words. Me and Priyansi really had an idea of just, okay, let's do this from A to Z vocabulary and let people know about some words that we use in daily life should not be used so casually. So this was just an idea we just floated in, and now it is like successful. It is proving successful. For me and for her, it is successful that even we are learning and we have learned a lot doing this vocabulary sessions. And I hope all the audience who are listening to us will get something from this series.
Yes, and for our viewers to know, we are taking these words from the Oxford Dictionary of Psychology by Andrew Coleman and also American Psychological Association, APA, right? So let's start with the first word. What's the first word?
Okay, so the first word for today with you is unfinished business. So there is a psychological term, unfinished business. So first I'll read from the dictionary and then we'll discuss. So unfinished business is in Gestalt therapy is an incomplete gestalt arising from an experience with which a person has not come to term as yet. More generally, an unresolved problem or issue in an interpersonal relationship. So unfinished business is like a person who has, not finished a business, means he has some problems in his life that he has not taken care of and repressed it and put under the carpet. That, okay, this is gone, I don't want to remember this. This is like a trauma in the life while growing up. And these are like unfinished business. And when these unfinished business are there, a person cannot grow because a part of that person remains unfinished. The human tendency is to finish everything. For example, when I give you an example, like when we draw dots in a triangular form, we don't need to say this is a triangle. We automatically perceive it as a triangle, right? So that's like how we complete. This is how you bring a completion, a closure. This is called the closure. That when you put the dots in the triangle form, you perceive it as a triangle, complete triangle. That's a closure. Suppose if I draw only one line, and I mean to you this is a triangle, you will say no, this is not a triangle, because your mind cannot close it as a triangle. You need more information to make it as a triangle. So this is what happens with the trauma also. When they're not taking care of it, only one part of it is left and one part is gone ahead in time. So there is no closure. So there the problem is there. So this is called unfinished business. And in Gestalt therapy, we make the person complete this business. We take the person to the past situation, ask him to perceive in different angle, and then complete it from that today's perception and bring it to present and feel complete, so that adherence to the past is complete and the person can move forward in life. This is what is unfinished businesses. In
So
Gestalt therapy, it's
basically,
taken care of.
yeah, so basically it's an interpersonal relationship with parents, with partner, with friends, with colleagues, with the boss, anyone, right?
Yeah, it can be with the self also. Maybe there is something in self that you're not able to take care of. You're not feeling good about something and you want to hide it and not, and so this hidden part is like a frozen part left behind and you cannot move forward in life. So that is important that you complete. That's a closure is very important.
Got it. Okay, yes. So very well explained, Dee. So let's move on to the second word. The second word is unconditional positive regard. The dictionary says an attitude of caring acceptance towards an individual, irrespective of his or her behavior and without regard to other personal standards. So this basically means, as the name suggests, unconditional positive regard. I am being acceptable towards towards the other person, irrespective of the fact that what he or she has done. I am showing acceptance and regard to the other person, no matter what kind of behavior you are showing, no matter what circumstances you have put me in or the others. We usually do this in therapeutic settings or counseling sessions, where no matter what crime or what behavior, whatever the client had done, we are supposed to be we are supposed to show unconditional positive regard so that the client that has come feels acceptance. Okay, it doesn't feel judgment. So this is what unconditional positive regard is.
Yes. So unconditional positive regard was given by Carl Rogers. He said it is the basic need to give regard to a person. That is the conduciveness of this whole therapy. If the person is feeling accepted in whatever he is or she is, that way that person can open up. And if the client can understand that the language and the tone of the therapist is congruent with the client, then the client can open up. And with the help of a positive regard, like acceptance, 100% acceptance from the therapist can change the person, can help this therapy to happen.
Right, right. So no matter what you have done, you are always accepted in the therapy. The therapist doesn't judge you for what you are doing. That is positive regard. And it doesn't only come through words, it also comes through the body language, through tone, through your facial expression. So all these things contribute in giving unconditional positive regard to the client.
Yes, sure, definitely. So the third word is for today is Ulysses contract. So Ulysses contract is a form of informed consent given in the form of an advance directive by the people who have had psychotic episodes in the past and wish to pre-commit themselves to undergo appropriate treatment should they have similar crisis in future. So Ulysses contract is also called an informed consent. It is not only consent, but it is informed consent. Consent is something where you just inform a person, okay, we are going to do this. But informed consent is that the client is made aware of the consequences of the situation if the person is participating in the therapy or in any kind of research. So that is called informed consent. So only when the participant or the client is ready to, after that information is ready to participate in the therapy or the research, then only he can proceed. He has full power to withdraw. So that is informed consent. So there are like the participant is told about the risk that's going to happen or what he's going to go through. Sometimes there are participation of the client in the form of like therapy through drugs or something. So they should be aware of that. If they are even in the vaccination case, the people who participated in these researches of vaccination, informed consent was given to them that if we vaccinate to you and if you are participating in this research, you might die also. And they were informed beforehand. They can withdraw, but if they did not withdraw and if they died, that was informed already to the client. So that is called informed consent.
Correctly. It is so important to have consent, informed consent actually, in any therapeutic setting. So the last word for today
Yes.
is unrealistic optimism. The dictionary says a judgment bias that tends to affect people's subjective estimates of the likelihood of future events in their lives, causing them to overestimate the likelihood of positive events and to underestimate the likelihood of negative events. So, in a simple language, any futuristic event that I'm going to have in my life, I am saying that it is going to be positive only. I will not have any negative repercussions of it. So, that is unrealistic optimism, where I am being unrealistic about the future implications of any situation. For example, it's a very common example like people who smoke. When people smoke, when they buy the packet of cigarette, it's clearly written on the packet of cigarette that it is not good for your health. It is unhealthy to smoke. People still buy cigarettes. Okay. So what is happening here is, even though they know that it is harmful for their lungs, still they are buying it with a thought that others will suffer through lung cancer, but I will not. It will not affect me, but it can affect others. So this is unrealistically optimism that I will not get lung cancer even though I am smoking on a daily basis. This is one example. Another example can be people who start a startup. When people do start a startup or a new business, if they are not doing proper research about the market, about the product that they're going to invest in, they just say that, usually kids of 9 20 years will say that I'll open a business, my business is going to make a turnover of 100 crores or whatever. So that is like unrealistic optimism, where the question is, do you have a plan? Do you have how much money you're going to invest in? What audience are you going to target? No. So that is unrealistic optimism, where you just say that I am going to make a business of 100 crore, where there is no plan actually in the picture. And in unrealistic optimism, also there are certain steps. The desired end state. What will the end state of of the situation? Okay. Then, what information do you have about that situation? Are you half informed? Are you fully informed? What kind of information you have? Then, what is the overall mood? By overall mood, I mean that suppose if I am into gambling, I win all the chances that I've had. Now, the last chance I say, oh, I know I will win this. Okay, so that is unrealistic. You might lose that last chance, right? You might lose all the money. So that is unrealistic optimism.
Yeah. So another example, this unrealistic optimism is like people, want to go out when there was a lockdown in the night, and people want to go out. They think, okay, I will not get caught. Oh, the police will not see me. So they keep on roaming outside that, oh, I won't be caught. It's other people who get caught. I will never be caught. And they keep on doing. These are like judgment bias. They think
Yeah.
positive about themselves only. They will never think negative about themselves. They will think, okay,
Yes.
everything is going to happen good about themselves. Yeah.
Yes. So one sentence I wanted to add it was, it's good to be optimistic. You should be optimistic about the situations, but unrealistic optimism can have
Yes.
repercussions. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So let's wrap up for today. The four words that we had discussed today are unconditional positive regard, unfinished business, Ulysses contract, and unrealistic optimism. Tomorrow we'll be back with more words, and we're almost on the end of the series. So thank you everyone for joining in. I hope you're learning something new, like we are. And thank you, Shaluji, as usual, for your time.
Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you for connecting. You all are motivating us that you all are here. Not only just we two are here, but many of the you are here and every day. So thank you for being there. Thank you for motivating us. Thank you so much. Good night and stay blessed. Ciao.
Thank you.